Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, May the 12th, 2026. I hope you're all safe and healthy today. I hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the area of health, along with first responders who every day are trying their best to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children, victims of child molestation and pedophilia. And those that are helping to recover and help victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, profiteers, and perverts who create demands that cause these evil industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States, and millions of human beings around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night that didn't involve the New York Knicks directly, but involved the New York Knicks indirectly. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat Detroit Pistons 112-103. I watched the game. It was a hell of a game. Both sides are pretty evenly matched up, and they were battling back and forth. It was Donovan Mitchell at the end that took control of the game in the fourth quarter. He scored more than 40. I think he scored 43 or 42, something like that, but 43. But he took over at the end. And at halftime, he only had like 4 points. He scored 39 in the second half. And how they did it was they were setting picks and plays to get him in the paint. That got him going. A guy like Mitchell is what we call in basketball, especially pro basketball, a scorer. What is a scorer? A scorer is a person that he figures out how to put the ball in the basket against anybody. That's a scorer. Some scorers are strictly scorers and can't do much else. But some of them are so good at what they do, you want them on your team, like an Allen Iverson. He was a scorer. He was technically they might have called him a point guard, but he didn't play in the classic way as a point guard. He was a scorer. And he was going to get points regardless. You want guys like that when you need buckets. You don't really want it when you need stops. So Mitchell plays adequate enough defense, but he is a scorer. So what they did was they set picks to get him in the paint. In the opening drive, the opening possession of the second half, they set picks from the weak side to get him into the middle of the paint where they found him and he scored. That's what got him started. Once they see the ball going to hell on the hoop, they become very dangerous because you might get them started and they can go off for 40 at any time. A real elite scorer can do that, like a Luka, a scorer. They can go off at any time. Then you got guys, that could actually play more than just score. Jalen Brunson's a scorer as well. But then you got guys like OG Anunoby. That's a two-way player. Like, in other words, he's going to lock down the top offensive player, or at least ability to do that, and he's going to score on the other end as well. So you got guys that are two-way. They're very important when you're trying to win a championship. And that brings me to my point. So now Cleveland is tied with Detroit 2-2. Guaranteed now, this series is going 6 games, which means it will not end anytime before Friday. They're going to play tomorrow, and tomorrow's game is going to be in Detroit for Game 5. Then Game 6 is going to be back in Cleveland on Friday. It could end then. But if it doesn't, Game 7 is going to be Sunday in Detroit. So the Knicks are just waiting right now. Okay, the Knicks are just waiting. Now, this is the thing with respect to the Knicks. So the Knicks got to wait for one of these two teams to finish their series before they know who they're going to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. But look at the pattern. So here's Jalen Brunson. He comes to the Knicks. When he comes, they go into the playoffs. They lose to Miami in the second round. He comes back the next year. They lose to Indiana in the conference finals. He comes back the next year. Here they are again. in the conference finals. Now, I've been saying something for a while now, like a couple of things. Number one, let me just preface it by saying I wasn't with the Knicks getting Brunson. I want it quickly. But when they did, I didn't want them to pay him $100 million. I thought 80 would be the top level. He got 100 from the Knicks. That's how the Knicks showed they wanted him. To show how bright Leon Rose, Wild West, and them were, they signed him to 100, and this is what the results are. So now your second trip. So at the very least, what can we say? Since they got Jalen Brunson, they've been knocking on the door of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's only a matter of time before they kick the door open. And also, the team has changed. When they lost in Jalen Brunson's first year, that was the year after they had only won 37 games with Kemba Walker. Jalen Brunson's first year, they get back to like 50 wins. Then they start pushing. Every year it changes. The last piece they got, now they had the Villanova crew with Ragu, Hart, and of course Brunson. Then they went and got Mikal Bridges, but when they got Mikal, they traded Ragu and Juju to replace him with Cat. Questionable. It was definitely questionable because of what Juju and Ragu brought to the Knicks when they beat Philly in 6 games. But as you can see now, Cat's ability. I did not know. I did not know Cat was such a passer. I knew he could pass. I didn't put him in this category though. And he had always said he likes passing. I thought he was just talking. But no. His ability to put the ball on the wood, shoot the three, rebound, and pass makes him more than just a scorer. He's an elite offensive player. He's elite. Okay? We've been saying this the whole time. I knew that there was no person in the NBA at the 5 spot that can legitimately guard him one-on-one. What I didn't know until he started doing it was what he did with the ball when he would get it at the top of the key. And everybody was complaining, talking about he needs to be on a low block like he's a traditional big man. Karl-Anthony Towns has never been a traditional big man. He can drop step and dunk on people. He can. He got all the low post moves you want. But what he's most dangerous at is when you put him outside and you give him the ability to make a play. Jalen Brunson's a scorer. So he's going to try to attack all the time to get a bucket, okay? And you want that in the playoffs. But when you were trying to win a chip, you need more balance. And so now the Knicks added Cat. We know they got Anunoby. I was pushing for Anunoby for 2 years before they got him. Because I knew he would be the type of piece if he could stay healthy. Because the year that Toronto won the chip, Anunoby was hurt. He was on the team, but he was hurt. So he didn't play as much and play a bigger role in that championship. So I thought he could be a piece for a chip. When Mitch Robb was drafted, I knew he was a championship piece. A defending big that could run the floor, protect the rim. I knew he was a chip piece. Okay, he just needed to learn the game in terms of fouls. And of course, we could see he's weak on the foul line, but he's not perfect, but he's a championship piece. Championship piece means he can be part of a championship team. We know Brunson's a championship piece because he's already won at high school and college twice, and now he's pushing in the league. Hart is also a championship piece. He makes winning plays down the stretch of games. And as I've been saying, Mikal Bridges is a championship piece. I was pushing for him, not because I thought he would take over as many knuckleheads thought. He'd get 20 a game in the regular season. That don't matter. What matters is, what do they do in the playoffs? And Mikal has always been, from when they drafted him in Phoenix, from when he was at Villanova, big game player, championship level player, okay? Makes the right play, makes the big play, and he's shown the Knicks that. Of course, knuckleheads and media don't pay attention to that because they're looking for some 25-point scorer. That's not him. Not all great players need to score 20, 25 a game. Mikal is plug and play when championships are at stake. So is Josh Hart and, of course, Jalen Brunson. Now, the good thing about all of them is that they're high IQ. What does that mean? That means they're smart enough to figure out what they need to do to win. And their focus is, how can I win? Brunson always took that on himself, both high school and at Villanova. He learned more under Jay Wright that he needs all his fellas. But then he came to the pros and coming off the bench. When you're in the NBA and you come off the bench, you got to be a scorer. You got to be a scorer. You know, when you like Jamal Crawford, you're gonna be like that when you come off the bench. You're not in there to play defense. You're in there to put the ball in the bucket and get some points. That was Jalen Brunson. But now he's been given a team. See, he went from being six man in Dallas to having a team. And in Dallas, until that playoff where he dropped 40 a couple of times, they was doubting what he could do there. So he's got that mentality coming to New York. Now I got my own team. I'll show y'all what I could do. That's why he was hogging the ball and playing hero ball so much. But then he's got the IQ with his daddy helping him and his boys helping him to sit down and say, listen, bro, if you pass the ball, we got a chance to do some things. And now we got the formula. It's through Cat. Thank you, Leon Rose. So now Cat gets the basketball. Brown was overcomplicating it because he's under a lot of pressure. People tend to do that when they're really smart and they're under a lot of pressure. Sometimes you overthink and overcomplicate. Brown was doing that with Cat. He wanted to use Cat, but he was overcomplicating the process. Finally, around All-Star break, he figured it out. And Cat now just has the basketball. Move the hell out the way, cut, and he'll find you. Okay? He's always been saying that. And I guess I wasn't the only one that wasn't believing him. But now we could all see it's true. So now, whether it's Cleveland or Detroit, it's going to be a tough series. They're going to fight for their life. They want to get to the finals. So do the Knicks. But the big thing that we can all see here is the Knicks are waiting. Like, in other words, they swept their opponent. They swept them. And they destroyed Atlanta. So now they're just waiting because they're really, really good. Okay? And that means they're going to be ready come Eastern Conference Finals time. And that means they're going to be more dangerous. So now, I mentioned yesterday, Detroit has the horses to try to slow. Some of y'all got carried away because that's what you do. So you saying they could stop carrying him? I never said stop him. I said slow him. See, in the league, there are guys that cannot be stopped. You are never going to stop in his prime a Luka Doncic. You're just not going to. He's going to get 30, 35 on you, regardless. What you want to do, though, is make it more difficult for him to get those points. Okay? Like last night with Donovan Mitchell. He had 4 points at halftime. They were doubling him. They had Karis LeVert bugging him, and Karis would get help. And with that, they were trying to say, okay, James Harden, we're going to put one-on-one coverage on you. Let's see you beat us. Because Harden ain't got the nuts. And they know that. And that's why Detroit was in control of that game until the coach figured this out. Kenny Atkinson said, oh. So he started running picks for DM, getting him into the lane. And then DM got in the lane, hit a couple. Then he started feeling it from three. Then now it's over. He's a scorer. And he's going now. And he was talking big mess. Cade Cunningham is an excellent defensive player. All of the starting five for Detroit can play D at a high level. They're all tough, man. That's what makes them who they are. They don't won 60 games for a reason. They good. So Cade is a really good defender. And Donovan, he was putting some stuff on Cade last night, talking big mess after it. And he was hot. See, what happens, you don't want to score to get loose. That's where JB messed up. He should have stuck with the program of doubling that boy and let Harden or somebody else try to hurt you, not Donovan, because Donovan done carried the team to now they 2-2. I still believe Detroit's the better team. The better team. They're evenly matched. Him and Cleveland are so close. That's why it's 2-2. Okay? They're so close in terms of their talent, in terms of their style. They're very close, both of these teams. So last night, Cleveland took 41 shots from the free throw line. No, I'm sorry. They took 41 threes. They took 34 shots from the free throw line, whereas Detroit only took 12. Now, that was badly refereed. That's because both teams were in the paint all night. But That's a badly refereed game. It really is. And so, in Detroit took 23 3-point attempts versus 41. Now, I knew Detroit was going to take less because Detroit was allowing the Cleveland Cavaliers to take threes, which plays to us. So I'm watching to see how are they going to deal with Cade. So what they did, Cleveland got this big boy. I don't even know what's his boy's name. He's like 6'7", and they had him out there. Not Detroit. Cleveland had him out there trying to guard Cade. And the boy's big. He's like, just the boy name, Jalen Tyson. Yeah, he only played 8 minutes because Cade will give you a rough time, but you got to put somebody big on him. Then what Cleveland was doing was doubling Cade to get the ball out of his hands. And they did a good job of that. And then they had to really guard Tobias Harris. And Tobias Harris he's been having a hell of a series. I would say this is the best playoffs I've ever seen from Tobias Harris. He played on a lot of teams. Tobias played on Orlando. He played on Clippers. He played on Philly. He played on the Bucks. He's been in a lot of playoff games. And this is the best I've seen him. He's using all of the talent that he got, which is tremendous. And then all of the veteran experience, he's using it all to try to win this series. So he's going all in. Not that he didn't before, but it's just at a higher level right now. So they had to guard him. And they guarded Duncan Robinson, who only had 4 points last night. Part of the reason Duncan Robinson only had 4 points last night is he had to guard Karras. And Karras has been balling out of his mind, as well. He had to guard Karras LeVert. LeVert was balling out of his mind. Not LeVert. I'm sorry, not LeVert. He had to guard Schroeder. He was guarding Strus. Right, Strus. Strus is tough. Okay, so, and again, Strus, Jalen Tyson, Dennis Schroeder, these are the bench unit. These are the bench unit for Cleveland. Again, the benches are what help you win the chip. That's the bench unit for Cleveland. So, ain't going to be no more, prime LeBron with D-Wade and Bosh just running through the league. That ain't going to happen no more because of the salary cap. You got to have a bench talent. Okay, you got to balance everything. Somebody's got to take less money like Brunson did, and you got to get talent like the Knicks did, and then you got to get a bench unit, which you got to develop. Okay, and Cleveland has done it. Detroit has done it too. They both did it. So that's why they where they at. But they got DM loose last night, and DM already knows he's got a bad rep for choking in the playoffs, and he's fighting that rep. And so, yeah, I don't know which way now. I still do slightly favor Detroit in this series. But they're going, the Knicks could play Detroit or they could play Cleveland. It's going to be a tough series. Neither team can stop Cat. And the reason they cannot is because of how many dimensions Cat has. The only thing to stop Cat is the referees or injuries. That's it. He can put the ball on the floor against you. You double him, he's going to find an open man. And the Knicks are very good at the hockey assists. Very good. They made a lot of those in the last game where they closed out last game in Philly. A lot of hockey assists. So they do that. Cat opens the floor. So you got to back up off him and hope he misses the three. That's really what Embiid and whoever was guarding him was trying to do. Back up off him, guard for the pick and roll, and hope he misses the three. That's what you got to do. And then again, Cuz can hit the three. So if he's not off, it's going to be a long night. Okay? So his abilities open up the floor and create possibilities, create different levels of issues. You get too close to him, he's going to go by you. You stay back off him, he's going to shoot over you. You double him, he's going to find an open man. That makes him extremely difficult, especially for anybody left in this series, in this playoffs. So you got a 7-3 Chet Holmgren, 7-4 Victor Wembanyama, and then, of course, in Detroit, you got Jalen Duren and Paul Reed. And then, of course, in Cleveland, you got Jared Allen, and then you got Evan Mobley. So you got bigs, in this playoffs. So everybody's going to give him a challenge. But Cat is still the key here. Brunson, Hart, McCall got to play high IQ ball. which is what they've been doing. That's why the Knicks been so successful with this. All of them understand what I just said. They need to let the ball go through Cat and cut, and then look for the open man. This is Clyde Frazier's Knicks. Okay, the theme then was find the open man, whether it was Busher, whether it was Bradley, whether it was Earl Monroe, whether it was Frazier. And what people didn't know was that Earl Monroe could be a team player. Everybody knew how awesome and unstoppable he was as an offensive player. He was a scorer. Clyde Frazier was a two-way player. Okay, and he was high IQ, and they moved and found an open man. This Clyde Frazier today is Jalen Brunson. Okay, and you got, instead of Willis Reed, you got Karl-Anthony Towns, who can shoot threes, who can get on a low block, who can dribble a basketball, who can pass the basketball. And because he has so many dimensions on a high level to his game, it's very difficult to game plan for him. Now, my prediction is they're going to double him to try to get the ball out of his hands. That's why moving the basketball is going to be real important. The floor is going to be wide open. So McCall's cutting, Josh Hart's cutting, Josh Hart hitting open looks, Deuce hitting open threes, and of course Brunson doing what he do is going to open up. And it's going to be because they got to protect against Cat. If they try to guard him with just Duren, he's going to foul Duren out because Duren can't guard him one-on-one. Nobody can. Paul Reed might be able to, because Paul Reed's playing spirited ball. He's another guy that's not during the regular season you're going to see Paul Reed. It's playoff time. You see Paul Reed. And last night, Paul Reed came off the bench last night. Duren had foul trouble. Paul Reed came off the bench last night, 14 minutes, 15 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. Paul Reed was out there doing business last night. And then, of course, you got Beef Stew, okay, who's more agile at 6'8", that could probably stay with a Cat if he puts it on the floor. But he has a problem if Cat's holding the ball over his head and putting his bow in his chest while he's looking for cutters. The Knicks are in a good, I'm telling y'all, the Knicks are in a very good position. They just got to be healthy, which it looks like they're going to be, and play high IQ basketball, which they all understand they need to do. The Knicks are the favorites to come out of the East. Anybody being real about this got to know that. The only reason they discount the Knicks is, hey, it ain't because the Knicks ain't the Knicks are the favorites coming out of the East right now. Okay? You got to upset them to get to the finals. And if the Knicks get into the finals, and I'm going to tell you right now, yeah, Victor Wembanyama's tough. Yup, SGA tough. But y'all should know, don't bet against Jalen Brunson. Anyway, tonight, you're going to be seeing tonight, in tonight's game, where we going? We're going with, OKC done finish off the Lakers. So tonight is going to be Minnesota and San Antonio, game 5, which is in San Antonio, okay, tonight. It's game 5, I believe, Minnesota, San Antonio tonight. And so that's going to be deciding that series, again, is going to minimum 6 games because it's 2-2. Now, the last game, we know Wembanyama lost his temper and got kicked out the game. Now, somebody might say, well, they wouldn't have won if Yama, but he did lose his temper, which means he could lose his temper again. Wembanyama ain't soft. He light in the ass, but he ain't soft, though. Okay, he a French croissant, but he ain't soft Frenchy. No, he ain't. No, he ain't. So we're going to see what happens going forward. So, yeah, I expect, San Antonio to be victorious in that series because of Wembanyama. So now you're going to have San Antonio, OKC, New York, and either Cleveland or Detroit, and they battling now. I can't even tell you who going to win. Who blinks first is going to lose. Last night, Detroit blinked, and DM went off. We're going to see what happens going forward. There's a lot going on in that series. It was good. It was very good basketball to watch. That's why I like pro ball. It is so high level when you get to this point. Here we are in May, and our Knicks are just waiting. Y'all enjoy your Tuesday. So